Transfer windows can feel a little predatory. The clubs with money, status, pull and resources are often able to walk in and snatch really good players from other clubs, and there's just nothing that can be done about it. But these days, even the biggest clubs are sometimes the prey, so everyone just has to be on guard. With the summer transfer window fast approaching, the biggest clubs in the world have already started to look for top players to strengthen their squad with, and that will lead them to some of your favourite clubs. Now, of course, clubs are open to selling some players, but there are just some others that have to be protected. Who are those guys? We'll find out in this video today. This is one player your favourite club must protect at all costs this summer.
Hey fam, this is your chance to build the jersey collection you've been waiting for. The Goal 90 bundle deal is live. Buy 2 jerseys and get 10% off. Buy 3 and get 15% off. Buy 4 and get a massive 25% off. Club kits, country kits, retro classics, pick your favourites and save big. And yes, every order comes with free worldwide shipping. The deal runs only until the end of May. Goal 90 bundle deal. Buy more, save more. Shop now at Goal 90 Shop.
We'll start with Atletico Madrid. They must protect Julian Alvarez at all cost. He is being targeted by a lot of top clubs around Europe, including Barcelona, PSG and Arsenal, and if they allow it, one of these clubs will snatch him from their grasp. But Alvarez is obviously Atleti's best player, and if they want to go one step further next season and maybe bring home a trophy, then they must find a way to keep the Argentinian striker. What he brings to the team is just incredible and difficult to actually quantify. With Griezmann now gone, it has become even more important for the club to protect Alvarez. Arsenal meanwhile have to protect William Saliba at all cost. With everything going on at Real Madrid right now, we won't be surprised if they come knocking for the Frenchman's signature again. Alaba is on his way out for sure, and Carvajal and Rudiger look likely to join them as well. Militao meanwhile can't seem to stay fit to save his life these days, so Real Madrid might be on the lookout for a new centre-back this summer. Considering they signed a young centre-back in Huijsen last summer, they'd likely want a more experienced guy in his prime this time around, and we all know they've always fancied Saliba, so they might try to tempt him away from the Emirates. Saliba once mentioned that he would not leave Arsenal because he hadn't yet won them a trophy. Well, it's looking like he will finally win one this season, so he might be tempted by an offer from Real Madrid. For this reason, Arsenal must ensure that they protect him at all cost. He'll be at the World Cup this summer with Mbappe and Tchouaméni, so that might be a little difficult. Speaking of Real Madrid, they themselves will have to really protect Federico Valverde. After he was knocked out cold by Tchouaméni in training the other day, he might start to consider moving away from the club. At this point, we would say he is quite easy to persuade. If a good offer comes in from the likes of PSG, City and United, he might really consider it. But we think that Valverde is too valuable to Real Madrid for them to just let him go like that. He is such an engine who covers many different positions on the pitch. We really don't think they can do without him, so they better find a way to protect him from prying eyes and keep him happy at the club. Manchester City, though, must make sure to protect Erling Haaland. These days, it's starting to feel like he's getting underrated. The rate at which he scores is actually so unreal, and what he brings to a team should never be taken for granted. Yes, he has a long contract with the club, but Real Madrid seem to have an eye on him. The current crisis at the club could lead to them having to let go of either Vini or Mbappe, and if they do, they would need a striker. Knowing Perez's obsession with the best players in the world, he would almost certainly try to persuade Haaland to move to Spain. And considering Haaland has already won it all at City and Pep might also be leaving this summer, the Norwegian marksman might really be tempted. But with or without Pep, City must protect Haaland because without him, life would be really difficult for them, that's for sure. Speaking of top strikers reminds us of Victor Osimhen, and we think it goes without saying that Galatasaray must protect him. They only just signed him permanently last summer, paying 75 million euros for his signature, but the big boys are already trying to snatch him from their grasp. So far, Osimhen has been linked to Barcelona, Juventus and Real Madrid, and it's just very difficult to turn down these big clubs, but Galatasaray really need him. If they want to retain their Super League crown and return to the knockout rounds of the Champions League next season, finding a way to make sure that they don't lose Osimhen this summer has to be their priority. Still on the theme of centre forwards, Chelsea must ensure that they protect Juan Pedro with everything they have. With every second that passes, the Brazilian seems to be becoming a hotter and hotter commodity in the transfer window. Reports say that Barcelona have identified him as the successor to Robert Lewandowski and are now prioritising him over anybody else. For a club with Chelsea's ambitions, that's not good news. João Pedro has been clinical, versatile, creative and very associative for Chelsea. Even when the team was really bad, he was often the one who stood out and sometimes made things happen all by himself. Right from the Club World Cup to the regular season, João Pedro has been phenomenal, and if the club wants to build a winning project, this is the exact type of player they would want to keep. But without Champions League football, it is now harder for Chelsea to keep him. Also, Brazilians love playing for Barcelona, so there might be some real temptation there. Rafinha being in his ear during the World Cup might also not help Chelsea. It's going to be difficult, but the Blues must protect him because, as far as this season was concerned, he was their best player and they simply don't have a readily available replacement for him. I mean, just imagine having to go into the new season with Liam Delap as starting striker. Man United is another pretty obvious one. They just have to protect Bruno Fernandes. Having watched him this season, there cannot be any debate about who the best player is and how much value he brings to the team. With the Red Devils returning to the Champions League next season, they need their captain and they need him to be at his best. There have been rumours about Saudi clubs showing some interest in the Portuguese star, and of course, those ones will always try to tempt a player with life-changing money. But United must make sure that they protect Bruno. The team is happy and Carrick looks like he's staying. They just have to make sure that Bruno also stays, and next season could be magic. Let's now talk about PSG. They just have to protect Khvicha Kvaratskhelia. We have all seen him in the Champions League this season. We've seen how quickly he can win a game for his side. If PSG want to keep dominating Europe, they just have to keep Kvara for his ability to turn into a different animal in the knockout rounds of the Champions League. Reports have been saying that the likes of Arsenal and Liverpool have shown some interest in the Georgian, and if Madrid really does let go of Vini, we won't be surprised if they also start to knock on his door. That's already too many clubs with rich history looking for him, so PSG must make sure to protect him. Now, what about Bayern Munich? We think they must do everything to protect Michael Olise. Yes, he seems pretty happy right now, but we're hearing that Real Madrid want to bring him to the Spanish capital to launch a new Galactico attack. We're also hearing that Liverpool are trying to lure him back to England, ready to make him the heir to Mo Salah's throne. These are really tempting offers that can turn the head of the Frenchman even though he's happy in Bavaria, so Bayern Munich must make sure that they don't take anything for granted and protect their nonchalant king. Speaking of Liverpool, they must protect Dominik Szoboszlai. You look at how this season went and you just see how valuable he is. Things would have been much worse for the Reds if they didn't have him. He played as an attacking midfielder, centre midfielder, defensive midfielder, right winger, right back. He was everywhere and always doing a great job. He was contributing defensively, creating chances, scoring absolute bangers and deciding games all by himself. Take this away and the team would be totally rocked. But here's the thing, because of how good he's been this season, he has drawn interest from a lot of clubs, particularly Real Madrid. It's one of the best clubs in the world, so he'll certainly be tempted. But Liverpool must make sure that that doesn't happen. They already lost one of their best players to them last summer. They simply can't let it happen again. Another midfielder who must be protected by all means is Granit Xhaka. His signing did wonders for Sunderland this season, and if they want to build on the success of this campaign, they must ensure that Xhaka goes nowhere. After a phenomenal season back in the Premier League, the Swiss midfielder has now been linked to Besiktas, Man United and Juventus, and you can see why he would be considering these moves, especially at the age of 33, but Sunderland must protect him. It's surely going to be a daunting task, but they must find a way. On the other side of the Tyne-Wear derby, Newcastle must protect Sandro Tonali. He seems to be one of the most sought-after midfielders in the world right now. He has been linked to Man United, Real Madrid and Arsenal, and the United links in particular seem to be growing stronger by the day. At this point, it seems impossible that Tonali will stay at Newcastle beyond this season, but they must find a way to keep him. Under this new ownership, the Magpies are no longer satisfied with being a mid-table club. They have big dreams and big ambitions. They want to win trophies and return to the top 5 of the Premier League, and in order to do that, they would need to keep Tonali, protect him by all means. Well, now we have a question for you guys. Who is that one player you think Barcelona must protect by all means? Tell us in the comments. Also, tell us that one player you think your favourite club must protect at all costs this season. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, turn on the bell notification so you never miss out on new content. Catch you in the next one. Bye.